Hey everybody, this is Ryan with South Jersey Yak Fishing. Thanks once again for tuning in. This trip was a multi-species trip that was so good I couldn't possibly have shown everything that happened in one video. So I posted the first half of this footage last October, and that video was entitled Dropping Crabs on Jigs for Whatever's Biting. I will leave links in the description as well as at the end of the video in case you missed that one. But in this video we are going to pick up right where we left off on the last one, and that's at the jetty. And when the current picks up too much to hold bottom with the 1-ounce jig, we're going to move back to the bridge. We are going to be using 3 different baits today: fiddler crabs, sand fleas, and green crabs. Which, to be honest with you, the bite was so darn aggressive I don't think it really even mattered what I used. I probably could have thrown down hot dogs and caught fish all day. Lots of fish in this video, tons of fun. Probably this trip ranks as one of my top 5 trips ever for ridiculously aggressive bites. I mean, it was consistent the entire trip. In fact, when I decide to leave, it isn't because the bite died or even because I ran out of bait, but it's because I ended up running into an issue, which I will explain a little bit later. But yeah, for right now, let's get started. Yep, definitely smaller fish. Ooh, it's a better fish. Oh, this might be a sheep. Is this a sheep? No, it's just a bigger tog. It might actually be a keeping size. I don't know that I want to keep a tog now. And the only reason I'm saying I don't want to keep a tog today is because I kept a sheep's head earlier in the trip, and that fish was featured in the part 1 video I posted in October. 14 3/4, look at that. Son of a gun. They're all going to be 14 3/4. That's just the way it goes. Bye-bye. Alright, so sand fleas are working, fiddler crabs are working, green crabs are working. They are not picky today, man. Bite is on fire. I don't even care if I don't catch big fish when this is happening because it's just too much fun. Alright, so this was an ultra aggressive bite, and you're going to see a lot of clips where I'm flipping that bail over and within 2 seconds setting that hook. They were just on it immediately on every single drop. Wow. Just flipped over the bail and got hit. Oh, some better fish coming up now. It's a decent sized fish. Let's stay on my trolling motor. $15 3/4. You gotta be kidding me. That's hilarious. Bye-bye. Jeez. Okay, so because these fish are hitting this jig the second it hits the bottom, and because I know how much line I have to let out, in this next clip you're going to hear me counting out that line, so I'm going to have the bail flipped over the second I hit bottom. This is just going to make me prepared to set that hook immediately. tiny fish, man. Alright, so do I move or should I stay? And this is the thing that happens all the time. I don't want to leave biting fish, but the sizes seem like they're smaller right now. Okay, so you remember 2 videos ago I asked the same question, and the conclusion that I came to is that you should not move in certain slow bite situations, like say when you have dirty water, cold water, barometric pressure changes, or other factors that affect the bite, but that you can get away with it when you say have an aggressive bite. In the height of the season, temperatures are warmer, the water's clean, yada yada yada. Well, today's one of those times, and we're gonna move several times, and anywhere I drop my jig, pretty much, we're just gonna catch a fish. It's getting harder to fall in that little spot right there. I know where they're at. Okay, so the current is picking up and I'm having trouble now dropping down into the same crevice that I found these fish in. So it's forcing me to toss my jig up current a bit, and the more the current picks up, the further I have to toss this jig, and I can only keep this up for a little bit before I have to first switch the weight of the jig and eventually make my way over to the bridge to fish the slack water behind the pilings. Dude, I feel like I'm over top of the nursery now. I think you can find bigger fish. I just shifted back, I don't know, 10 feet maybe from where I was because the tide turned, and I'm trying to find the relief on the other side of this buildup of rocks. And I'm hoping there's gonna be bigger fish on the other side, I don't know. Let's see. Current's really picked up though. I have to change the weight on my jig, I think. Okay, so the time has come where I have to switch to a heavier jig, and I already have a 1 ounce tied onto my black rod, so I'm going to grab my Tsunami and drop that down to the bottom. But funny thing, I'm not going to get a bite. It's going to take me a second to figure out exactly why. It may have only been about 5 seconds, but I haven't gotten a hit yet, and I know because these fish are so aggressive that something must be wrong. It's on a purple jig. Does color matter? Did they fall off already? They came off already. Wow. All right, so I expected a hit. I didn't get one, and you know, just changed the weight of this jig and switched the pole, so it was hard for me to tell if there was anything still on there. But sure enough, not getting a hit. No bait on there. Something took me on the way down, and I never felt it. That happens, man. At least that indicates that they're aggressive. That's what we want, man. When they're taking that bait off your hook and you can't feel it, that's when the bite's really good. Let's try it again. Yeah, so I think I've said this in some of my previous videos, but a great bite like that doesn't just die that quickly. So if this ever happens to you and you go from 60 to 0 just like that, bring up your jig and check it out. You might not have any bait. Tog. Bye-bye. Watch in this next clip how I become distracted while fighting this fish when I see something coming on the horizon. This guy's coming right at me. Yeah, it's always an uncomfortable feeling for a kayaker when you see a boat coming right at you like that, and this wasn't really even that close. I've had way closer calls than this, but you really do have to pay attention to all of your surroundings. And speaking of which... Wow, looks like Wake City coming my way, man. I'm gonna get bounced. Okay, so one really cool thing about Tog is that no two really are the same. There are all kinds of different colors and pattern designs that you see on these Tog, and this occurs naturally in their environment because they're trying to blend in with their surroundings for safety. With all the vast and unique pattern and color designs that I've seen over the years, I kind of view this as being the same as a human fingerprint. This one's got a pretty pattern on it. All right, stop, man. Just want you to look. Yeah, pretty fish. Bye-bye. So I forgot to turn on the head cam until I got this fish on the deck, but with the overhead shot, if you notice, there's an awful lot of debris coming out on outgoing tide, and we now have somewhat dirty water. And this is kind of foobarring my entire jig fishing experience because I have to deal with not only the current, but also all the seaweed that seems to be clinging to my line that either mimics a fish hitting my jig or mimics bait still being there when it's not. So in a few minutes, I'm going to leave and go to the bridge. And when I arrive at the bridge, I'm going to run into a fish that's actually going to be one of the more memorable catches I've had this past season, just because of the way that I had to hook him. All right, I didn't have the head cam running. It's a nice size female. She's pretty. Too short though. All right. Let her go. Bye-bye. Smaller. Feisty, man. All right, I've seen enough. Let's go to the bridge and see if we can find some bigger fish. Oh, that was solid, whatever I just missed. Whatever I just missed was solid. Dude, it's really hard to hold my position here. I don't get it. I do not get it. Lots of kayak anglers add accessories to their kayaks. We usually do it with one particular reason in mind. The coolest thing about adding some of these accessories is the added unforeseen benefits that you receive when you install them, like this one that I'm about to use. There we go. All right, did you see what I did right there? That control panel that I was messing with was for the NK engine on the back of this kayak. And what I did was I turned it up to about 5% power to give myself a little extra forward propulsion. This is going to assist the trolling motor in keeping me pinned in position up against the piling, as I am having a little trouble doing so in this current that is flowing with river-like fury. Alright, so it's going to appear as though I'm struggling a lot to reel in this fish, but it's certainly not because he's large. I actually have my line wrapped around the tip of my rod, which tends to happen when you set the hook and you miss. Happens a lot when you miss in the wind, so anytime you swing and miss, you really should take a good look at your rod tip and look closely, because if you fish braid, it's really hard to see. Unfortunately, because it's so hard to see, sometimes it goes unnoticed, and if I ever get a big fish on the line when I have a tip wrap like that, it's a good chance I'm going to not only lose that fish, but a good portion of my braid as well. Oh yeah, that's working a lot better now. Okay, so we're approaching about 11 o'clock, and I'm going to vent a little frustration because I'm getting waked over and over and over again. And it's funny, of all the places that there are to pass under the bridge, including the center where there are wake breakers, God darn it, if every single boat that's coming under this bridge isn't coming under the section where I'm fishing in very close proximity to me, and I'm getting a little frustrated. Then you shouldn't be driving a boat. Okay, so this brings us to the last fish, which is actually going to be the best fish of this video, and happens to be one of the more memorable tog that I happened to hook up to last fall, but let me explain why. You may have seen me do this in previous videos, and I think I have mentioned it, but 2 seasons ago I started lightly holding my braid in my fingers as I was dropping my jig to the bottom. The purpose of this originally was to help me to avoid some line bowing issues that I was having while fishing the pilings in heavy current. This became a habit, and it did help that situation. However, I noticed something more important and very interesting by doing this consistently, and that was that sometimes I feel fish hitting that jig on the drop. This explains to me why my bait would seemingly just fall off my jig mysteriously. Once I realized this, the next time it happened, I grabbed my braid as tight as I could, and I set the hook with my bare hand, flipped the bail over afterwards, and reeled in the fish, and then I realized how valuable this was. This is exactly how I figured out that tog like to hang out in the middle of the water column. Okay, so with all of that being said, that's exactly what's going to happen on this next fish. However, the second that he takes that jig, he's going to dive straight down, and the funny thing is that I completely wasn't ready for it. Wow, I don't know what this is. It's probably a big tog, man. Oh yeah, that is a keeper. Wow, big boy. No, I don't need the net now. Wow. All right. Woo! That is what I wanted. Big tug. Took that one right in the middle of the water column. 16-inch tug. Do you remember in the beginning of the video when I mentioned a problem that was going to end my trip after the last fish was caught? Do you think you know what it is? Right. Well, it's actually happening right in front of our faces right now. I just haven't noticed it yet, but we're going to find out in just a second. All right, so I've got this message on my controller. It says RF error in reference to the trolling motor engine. It won't connect. It's stuck in spot lock. And I need to get back to shore. I don't know what's happening right now. I've never seen that message before. What the heck does that even mean? Well, some quick research online reveals that RF error means remote fatal error. You know, I don't have the largest vocabulary in the world, but I'm pretty sure fatal is bad. RF error. Yeah, so it cost me $240, and about a week later I was back in business, but it really was no big deal. Even though the trolling motor is out of commission in this case, I'm still trucking along at a pretty impressive rate because of the NK engine that I have on the back. And we just experienced the main reason why I had it installed in the first place, and that's just so I would never be stranded with just a paddle ever again. Alright, that's all for now. I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit that like button, smash that notification bell, and please consider supporting me by subscribing to my channel, and don't forget to check out the links at the end of the video. Catch you next time, guys. Peace.